Welcome back to Behind the Caution Tape. I'm your host, CrashLit. I'm coming to you from the Costa Mesa Marriott, where men's volleyball MPSF Media Days was just taking place. Had a great experience seeing all the teams in the conference talk. There are now 10 teams in the MPSF, so it's an exciting year. All of them went. So it started with Vanguard early in the morning, followed by Jessup, UC Merced, Pepperdine, USC. I'll expand on them, obviously, after I get through talking about just the general kind of themes of the day. After lunch, it was then Stanford, UCLA, BYU, Menlo, and Concordia. And a few things that really just stuck with me throughout the day were just really how much just big conversation was just the expansion of the NCAA playoffs for men's volleyball, moving from eight teams to now to 12 teams, which I think is a super important step. As I've said before, I thought that the previous smaller playoffs were more unfair than the college football playoff before it expanded to 12 teams when it was still at 4, because at least that criteria was more clear cut. It was just you had to be one of those top forwards. This, with just all the automatic qualifiers, leaves not as much room for at-large teams that were definitely deserving of a bid. So I think it's a huge development. Now they're obviously talking about trying to go to 16, which I think would make it even better, and I think could be great for the sport at large, especially as it continues to grow. So that was the other thing. Then obviously the other theme, which is teams doing well, is just talking about the importance of serving and passing. I thought it was just an interesting, just the basic fundamental skills that really are coming back to be super important in this game, even at the collegiate level, which I think is super fascinating, but completely tracks with just everything I learned when I was playing, especially in my days at Balboa Bay. Before I get into USC, I did want to talk about the fact that Menlo's student athlete was none other than USC men's volleyball alum Josh Friedman, who's now doing his master's with the Oaks. And I actually got a chance during the Menlo press conference to ask Josh a question about what's going to be like when Menlo visits USC at the end of March. So take a listen.
I would say I am excited to play back at the Galen Center. It's a really nice arena to just play volleyball at, and I'll never complain when I get to play the sport I love. So, yeah, thanks.
As you can see, I really liked how intelligent and smart Josh was with his answer. Obviously very mature. He said he's looking forward to it. So excited to see him should I make those games when Menlo visits the Trojans at the end of March. So now let's get into USC. Obviously, when USC took the stage, obviously a lot of the similar topics they were talking about. One question I asked both head coach Jeff Nygaard and senior outside hitter Dillon Klein, who were in attendance today during their press conference, was just how they've seen the buy-in from the incoming freshman class that's about to compete for the first time next month. So this is what they both said during their press conference.
Yeah, they've been fantastic from day one. They've been asking a lot of questions and really giving it their all-out effort every single day to make sure that they're doing what they can for themselves, but more importantly for their teammates. And I can't even think of a time when they fell short of that. So I think they've been doing a fantastic job.
I'd also lean into what I referenced earlier with elite leadership. Last year, Guy and Dylan, we were at a team meal. I don't even remember where, but they were playing, was it Among Us? They were playing some game. I was sitting over there, and I look over, and it was all the seniors and all the freshmen, and it wasn't senior freshmen, it was teammates, and they were interacting and having a blast, and it had nothing to do with age. It was, if you're wearing the same thing, we're all together. And I know he's gone out of his way to, I shouldn't even say out of your way, but to reach out to the freshmen and bring them up to speed and get them going. So it wasn't even hitting the ground running. It's like they were already locked and loaded. And that speaks to the maturity of our leaders of our program.
I really like their responses there, especially they talked about just how buy-in, especially just the senior leaders stepping up. And that was really a theme that really stepped up, especially just how Dillon Klein has been such a leader for this program, even as he's, especially from his freshman year when he started almost right off the bat, and has really turned into one of the best players on this team. So it's been really exciting to see Dillon grow and continue to get better, not just both as a player and a leader. So really excited to see what he does this year. I also got opportunities to sit down with Coach Nygaard as well as Dillon Klein, and really had great conversations with them, just really asking about just kind of the key themes of the season, just men's volleyball in general at the collegiate level, is also just what's it going to take for this USC team to really go from like good to great and really make the playoffs. So the first interview that I'm going to play for you now is with head coach Jeff Nygaard. Welcome, Coach Jeff Nygaard of USC men's volleyball, on to Behind the Caution Tape. Coach, thanks for joining me here on the on the podcast.
Thank you, sir. Much appreciated.
Of course. And I want to start by asking, well, last year I'd say was a really good season for USC. Just how do you replace that veteran leadership, especially with key players like Guy Guinness and Jack Duker now having left the program and graduated?
Well, senior leadership is essential. It really, it's not just that they are the ones that help drive the culture. I mean, they're the ones that have been there the longest. They know what the growth and the progression of things are. So, they're tasked with not only just embedding us with a culture that they want for their final year, but also identifying next year's crop of leaders and helping trying to populate and just kind of grow those guys. So, Guy and Dillon last year did a phenomenal job as we had a good season. Great season would have been to go even further. But they did a nice job of, this is what our leadership looks like. This is what the culture is that we want to fight for every single day. This is how we want to run our locker room, which, there's in the gym where there's coaches, but there's also off the court and away from the court. And those guys were just, dogmatic with, this is how we want to be about how to be successful. And so that template now is embedded in our team and our culture. And Dillon was able to just take it and run with it this year and early identify, hey, these are the guys that we need leadership roles. And from there, it's just those voices are carrying the conversation of the team and helping us daily from not just a coaching standpoint, but from a team culture standpoint.
Absolutely. And then one big development that definitely does help, which is USC having more access to the playoff, is that it's expanded. That's been obviously a topic of discussion all day. But just how do you see it not just a benefit to USC, but also just, the sport of men's volleyball at large as it, continues to grow and become more popular?
The more we grow, the better for everybody. I mean, is there a model in the future where we get to 16? And then the conversation isn't, well, did 4 or 5 not even make the tournament? It's more like, well, now we're talking about it's pushed down the road to like, okay, 14, 15, 16, 17 is, you're getting a better sample and, the top ranked teams into that field. And then you're having higher matchups and all that type of stuff based on just what the seasons looks like. Because what was it last year? Irvine and us were kind of on that bubble. And then there was 3-4 years ago, there was a time where most of the 1 seeds lost in the tournament. And all of a sudden it was like, we were a number 5 team. And again, it's like, we did not get a wild card just because those wild cards are so coveted and hard to earn and all that stuff. But now it's here's all the AQs, and we have, 5 wild cards now. So that hunt, which, I mean, it's always been important and it starts day 1, but now it's expanded to your point. So I just think it's going to make it better in the long run with the finals.
I absolutely agree. And I don't know how much you follow like the college football playoff, but I've argued even before that expanded to 12, I would argue that men's volleyball, that playoff selection was more unfair of that because of just the lack of automatic qualifiers or just at-larges.
No matter what system you have, there's going to be people that, you could debate one way or another whether they should have earned the right or not. And then I'll just kind of lean into kind of what the Olympics is more of, where you got those 5 rings that represent all 5 continents. And it's not necessarily all the best teams in the world at the Olympics. It's a representation of the world. And yes, there's this system is like, 2 from this country and you have to earn the right with points and all that stuff. But towards the end, you're going to always get like those top teams battling it out. So no matter what road there is, no matter what system, the best teams are going to have to compete for it. And at the end of the day, there's going to be 1 team.
Absolutely. And then I do want to ask you about another change in just the MPSF conference makeup this year. So just how is just the new membership addition this year add value to in a way that allows USC to continue to compete with the best and prove that you guys are the best?
It's interesting because as an older person, I used to play at Pacific against Pacific. So having them come back in, from my mind, is like, well, yeah, that makes sense. But the chemistry of the MPSF, 5 Division IIs, now 6 Division Is. That's going to be their first year. I mean, this brings in travel partners and how many flights and budget and all this type of stuff. But all growth is good growth for our sport. Adding Division Is, I think there's now 31 Division Is in our field, and I'm guessing, but I think it's 48 Division IIs. If we get to 16, I mean, in the NC2A, that's a huge possibility. Then it just creates more opportunity, and that over time should match where all the grassroots are bubbling up with just the expansion of boys volleyball at the high school level. And how many states are we at now? I don't even know the number, but it's north of 20 states. Back in my day, I think it was 4 or 5. So all of it is growth, and it's just good for the sport.
I absolutely agree. And I do want to get back to talking about USC this upcoming season. So last year, then also 2022, USC was stopped just short of making the playoffs. Mm-hmm. While the playoff has expanded, what's it going to take for USC to make it into that final field of 12 this season?
Couple of things we know that we need to do better. I mean, serving and passing wins championships, so we want to be able to put a little bit more pressure from the service line where, I could just lean into like Jack Duker playing at Hawaii when we won the outrigger. It was like his best serving performance. And if we can get something like that dialed in, more of a standard than a one-off, then I think that we could really light things up from the service line. And that's not just one position or others. Like we're challenging our guys to find what their top tier service is, whether it's jump float or jump spin. So we'd like to see that evolve quite a bit. I think we did a really nice job of handling service pressure, but we could always get that dialed in a little bit more. And then what's our offense going to look like? Because I thought we ran a really nice medium system offense last year, and that was with Big Parker in the middle. And can we have two big guys in the middle and really open that up? So those are some of the things. But I'll just say this: like I like to think that the team that we're really trying to master is ourselves, and if we handle things on our side of the net, we'll be really competitive.
Final question for you, Coach. What are you most excited about heading into this season?
Playing volleyball. I mean, it's fun. We do all this stuff because we want to go out there and turn it loose and just compete for it. So what am I looking forward to? I'm looking forward to getting back in the gym with the guys. I'm looking forward to every single day thereafter. I'm patiently sense of urgency about getting to the MPSF at BYU, and then trying to earn the right to go to the NC2As and really playing our best volleyball at the end.
Coach, thank you so much for your time today. Happy holidays, and of course, always fight on.
Fight on.
So yeah, as you heard, obviously a lot they're hoping to accomplish. USC is hoping to accomplish this year. So obviously super excited for this season. Then it was also exciting to talk to Dillon Klein as well. And actually, if you haven't listened before, in season 1, I interviewed Dillon in a more longer form interview, really profiling him. So it was exciting to have him back on Behind the Caution Tape as the show's first ever two-time guest. So here is my interview with Dillon Klein. So I'm now here at MPSF Men's Volleyball Media Days with senior outside hitter Dillon Klein. And Dillon, you are the first repeat guest here on Behind the Caution Tape. So welcome back onto the show, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. And yeah, like I said, really excited for your senior year here. And as someone who's been a critical part of the lineups, like since you got here pretty much, how do you see yourself really stepping into a bigger role, both as a player and a leader this season?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't really see myself doing any of that. I'm surrounded by some of the best players in the country, and I'm just, trying to be the best player I can be so that they can go out and be the best players that they can also be. Just trying to do my job so that they can do theirs.
Absolutely. You really just seem like you're such a team guy. And so how does just them playing their best help you be at your best?
Well, I mean, it's a team sport, obviously. But, when everyone on the court is flowing together, it's almost like you're not really playing, stuff just like happening. When the cohesion is so high and everyone is so dialed in and focused towards a common goal, it feels real good, and you start winning.
And obviously, this past offseason, there's the announcement that the playoff field would expand to 12. So what does that mean just for both USC and just the entire sport of men's volleyball?
Well, it definitely increases the competition, because before it was you either won your conference or you were one of the top two teams that didn't win your conference. And I felt like that excluded a couple teams in the past, but it definitely makes more sense, in my opinion, to do it that way. And it's definitely going to increase the level of play in the tournament.
It's something I've been calling for a few years on various podcasts, and I've argued that the men's volleyball playoff system was even more unfair than the college football playoff before that even expanded to 12. Because at least that was just clear cut. You had to be top 4. Is this? It's like you're seeing some of the best teams get left out just because they are in good conferences like the MPSF or the Big West.
You're right. I can't speak to football, but there were some good teams that in the past have been let out of the tournament.
Absolutely. And then obviously building on that, you got stopped just short of making the NCAAs last year. Can you talk about how that's just motivating you and the team heading into this season?
Yeah. We were, not super stoked with the idea of us not making the tournament last year. We knew what we had to do to make it, and we fell a little bit short. So that's kind of been a recurring theme in our gym this off season, that, we don't want to have any regrets when that last ball hits the ground.
My final question for you is just, what are you most excited for heading into this season? Which is crazy to think that it's less than a month away now.
I'm just excited to play some volleyball with some of my best friends.
Dillon Klein,
Yep.
Thanks again for joining me.
Absolutely.
As always,
yeah.
Congrats on being the first repeat guest on Behind the Caution Tape.
Thank you, Crash. It's always a pleasure, man.
All right. We'll
Cool.
see y'all soon. Best
Yeah.
luck this season. Fight on.
Right on.
But yeah, definitely, like I said, great talking with Dillon, especially just seeing how much he's really embraced this leadership role. I think especially like last year being team captain then, being team captain now, I think you could really just see just how much this season means to him and like really how just everything going on and why I think it's like, big year for the Trojans to really, get through. They got a lot of returning guys. Obviously, they did lose a couple of key senior, like veteran players in both Guy Guinness and Jack Duker. But it seems like they got a lot of guys who are really capable of it. If they don't, and especially if they can, stay healthy, which definitely did limit them at times. They still seem to always find a way to get someone to step up and take on a bigger role. I think is definitely really important. So really, like I said, I'm super great to cover this day. Shout out to everyone at the MPSF for just making it possible and just, helping me secure the interviews. And really, like I said, I think it's great to, just see kind of just how this game's growing. Obviously, the expansion of the MPSF is great to 10 teams. Conference tournament up in Provo, hosted by BYU, is going to be great. Top 8 will get to go there. And then even the NCAAs, which will be hosted at UCLA this year, should be really thrilling. So, and especially at this first time with the 12-team playoff, I'm really excited for this year. So that's going to do it for us here on Behind the Caution Tape. Thanks again to everyone here who's made everything possible today for me to do this special episode that's coming out today. It's Monday. This episode, you'll be hearing this episode Thursday when it comes out. So really excited for it. Making sure, and yeah, be sure to subscribe to the podcast if you're not already. You can watch the video version on my YouTube channel at CrashLit, and be sure to follow me on social media at CrashLit to see what I'll be at next and where you can find me. I've obviously got a lot of exciting interviews coming up, as I was saying earlier this week, including India Otto and Jeff Schneider. So be on the lookout for those episodes. And that'll do it for us here. Excited for this upcoming men's volleyball season. Trojans play for the first time, I believe, against Dominican on January 9th at 7 p.m. That'll be in the Galen Center Pavilion. So that'll be the first opportunity to catch USC men's volleyball. I'll see y'all for the next Monday rundown, and fight on.